Anytime.
Ready? Okay, I call this meeting to order of the Oregon City Library Board at 5:02 on Wednesday, January 14th. And those present are Maureen Cole, Linda, I've forgotten your last name. Patterson, Don Wright, Eileen Sheridan, Laura Ingram, Jen Wallander, and Fred Haynes. Okay. Approval of the minutes, action item. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Were there any additions, changes?
I move that they be approved as presented.
Okay, second.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, approved.
Yay.
Okay.
Well, I miswrote this because we already have a chair, so we just need a vice chair.
Need a vice chair.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So, and you have the rotation
Right.
on your new thing. So, DA won't be here next year, so unless he reapplies.
Unless he reapplies.
So, you know, maybe he would like to wait and make that decision later. Dan comes up next year.
Mhm.
And Laura was just chair.
Yeah.
And then Don's on, so, I mean, he would be available.
I got
Or
time.
Eileen, yeah, but, right, you've got time too, so.
Can we nominate somebody who's not here?
Yeah, I mean, you can.
Can.
Yeah, I'm sure he would agree to do it as long as he's able to make enough of the meetings. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
So his schedule is a little sketchy occasionally, but
But I think, Fred, you would be able to.
Like he does.
Yeah, I could back up for him if I had to.
well, he backs you up
I
if
know
you're
he
gone,
does.
right?
Right.
And then the following year, he would have a vice chair who would back
Correct,
him up if
exactly.
he was gone. So that, in theory, should work fine.
Theory should work fine.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if I nominated Dan, that'd be okay?
Mhm.
All right, well, are we open for nomination?
Yes, we are. We're open for
I would
nomination.
nominate Dan Millard as our vice chair for the 2015 term of office.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay. Are there any other nominations?
No.
Nominate yourself if you want to, DA.
No.
You volunteering?
I'm fine with the building committee.
Okay.
Yeah, your plate's full.
Okay. If there's no other nominations, then the nominations are closed.
Well, we can just call for the
We
vote.
call for the vote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carries.
Great.
Thank you.
Okay. Good. Public comments. Linda?
I'm not going to say anything about the foundation later unless you have some questions, but
Okay.
I wanted to make sure I came in and said, a lot of times, a lot of boards get disturbing comments or people who are irate, but I thought I would just come and say that I wanted to acknowledge you guys in this whole process and all the times that you're having the architect go out to all the meetings and making the whole community feel part of the whole library campaign. And then I know you guys know that I'm a real user of the library, and so I wanted to thank all of the staff, especially Mo. I go to the movies, and I'm part of the book club, and I take books out. And, we have, as small as we are, we're pretty mighty. And so I want to say thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I thought you meant later. I'm sorry.
Okay. Building project update.
Yeah, are we ready for that?
Okay.
Okay, so I wrote you pretty long report on this one too, but that's because, we're at like a pretty important point of the project. We're asking for your recommendation to move from schematic design into design development and into the public review process. So I think most of you know the steps that we've gone through to get to this point. We had the bond pass, we landed on the two-story addition layout. We worked at two options with the two-story layout. The city commissioners preferred the atrium option, which was less glass. I'll call it the less glass option. Now it is like the option, but since then we've been working on that as far as the design. And the architects have been working really hard to create the entire package of all the documents that go to the planning department for the land use review and the historical review process. So we have to have two review processes. They run concurrently. And it's still an ongoing iterative process. The design will be refined along the way. Not all questions are answered today. That's absolutely okay. We will get conditions from them at some point. They've already given us a bunch of things to think about even before we submit our documents next week, but we're hoping to do that next week after the City Commission meeting on Wednesday, submit by Friday, so that if all goes well, and we have left ourselves some time buffers, but not a lot, we should be breaking ground this summer, which is the goal, so that we take advantage of this building season. So with that introduction, I'd like to introduce the architects. Tonight we have Sid Scott and Haley. Haley, I always forget your last name. I'm so sorry. Blanco. Okay. Yes, I agree. That's your last name. Thank you. Everybody always says, like, yeah, you're right. That's your name. Yeah, she's right. She remembers. So these guys are here tonight to update you on the work that they've been doing and kind of the project in general.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mel. Good evening, and it's great to be here again. So we've got an update for you. It's the same presentation that we met with the City Commission yesterday in work session. And some of this also was part of a meeting we had with the McLaughlin neighborhood. And we're going to have a community open house following this.
Directly
Are we having
after
cookies?
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Well, it's funny because originally it was scheduled for Monday.
We would have
And-
had cookies. if it
And we
was on
realized
Monday.
that nobody was going to show up, that we're going to be home watching the Duck game, so we made it work out for tonight, so it's good. So I'm going to just roll through with where we're at and fire away with questions and as we go, and let us know what you think.
And you guys can all see this on your screen,
Yes.
right? Okay, perfect.
Yes, everybody can see it?
Great.
Okay, awesome. Can you advance them with the keyboard, and I can use the mouse, or is that?
You want me to advance
Just
them with
share.
the
Go
keyboard?
ahead.
Okay. Do you want the mouse?
You go ahead and click it forward.
Fight.
I'm not very good at the button pushing part,
I
I know.
see.
So, starting with the site plan, and then we've been through this, I think, several times, but existing Carnegie here. Here's the two-story addition. We worked very hard to maintain as much of the canopy as we can. And really the idea was is to keep the amenities that the park currently has and enhance it. So we've been able to keep all of the functions that the park currently has. The beautiful entry to the existing Carnegie here. The spray park, we've expanded this. Our intent is to add some additional landscaping and seating walls and really make this a plaza. So instead of a summertime space, it's going to be a year-round kind of space.
Nice.
So that will expand. And then the entry to the library now will be through here or from 6th to our community porch here that has a series of steps that go down to the plaza. Be a great place to hang out, people watching, and I think the neat thing, and you'll see in the renderings, I mean, it really is a big enough space to have a nice size activity out there. So we hope that it becomes a very year-round kind of thing. So we've got an entry from 6th here. That area there is the relocation of the swing and slide, and they both may be new. We may be able to move the swing. We're not sure yet, so looking at that. And there is potential to add perhaps a few more play activities to that area. The back of the house stuff is going to be back here, so it's really tucked out of the way off of Jefferson, and a back entry over here. One thing I'll point out is, as part of the project, we are going to be adding accessible parking spaces on the street right along the 6th Street entrance here. And then the other thing is really looking at striping the street along Jefferson and then also on John Adams, so that there is legitimate parking spaces lined out there. And one thing we know, when you do that, you actually get more cars because people park in the spot instead of taking a larger area. So we think it will help in terms of increasing the number of parking on the street. So entry again from 6th, and then also entry from 7th on this side. So if you come down the walkway here or come up this way, there also is an entry point on this side of the building as well. So let's go to the next slide.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Is there a book drop-off? Was
Yeah,
there a
so
drive-up
book drop-off is right here.
Is that accessible by just driving up, or you have to actually?
It is not by
Okay.
driving up, yes.
Okay.
So you would need to get out of the car. What we're looking at is the potential of having some 15-minute parking spots
Okay.
designated on the street, so that those would be open for people to come up and be able to park, run over the drop, and hopefully not take up 15 minutes.
Okay.
Okay, now looking at the plan, so here's the entry off of 6th, the entry off of 7th. Here's the existing Carnegie. So the idea is, again, that our community porch here, covered area, come in through a vestibule into the 2-story atrium space here. So this will be control point. There will be a stairway, an elevator here. This space is the children's library. So I think we figured out, I think it'll feel about 3 times bigger than what you have now. It's probably 2.5 times square footage wise.
In the earlier plan, wasn't the children's room on the other side? closer
Yes,
to the park?
so that's something we'll talk about. And I'll jump to that right now. On this side, we've got the community space, which we're looking at as potential maker space, community space. And there's a nice access to that. We're looking at the idea of having like a big sliding door kind of wall instead of just having a door, so it's very open and very welcoming for folks to use at any time, not just for program time. And then there's a door located right here, so that for after-hour use, weekends, that sort of thing, this can function all on its own. So we can close the library off at this point, have entry here, and then the community room, there's a kitchen, little worker space back in here, and the restrooms, excuse me, is all self-contained. So that was one of the thought processes about locating the community space on that side of the building. And I think one of the keys to that is that we make it very active, because it's also the entry point to the library.
What's the little
Yeah,
box?
what? Go ahead.
What's this little box with the X? What's that?
This is the elevator.
Elevator.
Oh, that's the elevator. Okay.
Yeah, elevator, and then
Now
the
I know.
stairway here.
Now I know. Okay.
So we did have that flipped, and we really thought a lot that we would like to have the children's on that side near the play area and all that. But it just doesn't work as well to have the ability to close off the rest of the library and use the community room at night. And also then, because you want to have the bathrooms near the community room for that kind of thing, then you're having the kids go all the way across the lobby, the wet kids, to use the restrooms. And so really the way that, you see where the door is and now where the children's room is, it's like the entry to the children's room is still like really, really close to the door, but now also the bathrooms are really close to the door. So we really went round and around on this and looked at all kinds of options, and this is where we landed, and I'm very happy with it. But yeah, it's different definitely than what we started off with.
The other bathrooms in the old Carnegie will still be functional, though?
The ones downstairs
Yeah.
will be used by staff.
So we'll have those downstairs. There's also a family restroom in the
Yeah.
children's area.
Good idea.
So,
That's a good idea.
yeah, I think I'll just, because we debated a lot about this.
Yeah.
And my final thought is with having this on this side, we have to really work hard to make it very active so that it's not a dark room. Like a lot of times you see meeting rooms and they're only used for meetings.
Right.
Where this space has to be interesting enough and comfortable enough and inviting enough that people are going to go in and use it.
Yeah.
So that it really energizes the front, because again, that's the front, that's the primary entry where people are going to come in.
Yeah.
So,
Good idea.
yeah, I think I'll just, my final thought is with having this on this side, we have to really work hard to make it very active so that it's not a dark room. So community on that side, children's on this side. We've got the and we'll see in the renderings here in a minute, 2-story glass space here that really allows you to see the back of the Carnegie. So it's really cool how you're going to be able to experience this building on all sides. Then going into the existing building, the idea here is we take where the windows are in the back and create openings so that you can walk through those. This is the technology space, so internet, that sort of thing. Book return here. And then into the reading room where periodicals, local history, that sort of thing would be in that space. And our intent is, we're going to maintain the fireplace. It's going to be operational. The stairway for staff would be here to go down and access the lower level, which will be staff space, storage. We're hoping to be able to also utilize it for new mechanical equipment, that lower level as well. And then the entry that is currently there, the only thing that we're proposing to do there is to rebuild the stairs so that they would meet current code. And it's I think, Mo, your intent that still is an open entry, and if folks want to come through there, they can.
But not a ramp.
No ramp.
Okay.
And by the way that the site works out, this really works out nicely because this is essentially level from here out to 6. So
Sure.
it works out really well.
Perfect. Mhm.
Okay, so that is the ground floor.
Can I just ask one last question?
Yes, Laura.
Is the wall that is between the information and the entrance to the bathroom, is that a glass? Nope, down there.
Down here.
Yeah. Is that a glass wall? Is that open so there's visibility for?
Right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's just wide open.
That's wide open.
Yeah, and you'll
Okay.
see it in one of our
Alright.
renderings. So the idea is that we wanted to make this wide enough that it didn't feel like you were going down a hallway. So
I was
it's-
thinking more from like a safety perspective of someone entering the building without people being able to see it, since that's more of a closed up. I mean,
Oh, I see what you're
you
saying.
See what I mean in terms
Yeah.
of someone who's not necessarily.
Yeah. So, well, the one thing I'll say, this door, I think the intent would be that would be locked except
Okay.
during times
Okay.
when
Yeah, there's the
it's
evenings.
going to be
Okay.
used.
Yeah.
So you got to come through one of these
Got it.
doors to
Okay.
come in, and then if you come in and you go down, you're going to be seen
Okay.
by the center point. But that's a great question. The idea is, though, again, is we want to make that wide enough. It's a space and not a hallway. So, would anticipate that there's going to be. There could be art there could be some
Displays.
tables and
There'll be
chairs,
things.
displays,
Yeah.
those kind of
That'd be
things.
nice.
So really trying to make every square foot in this an active space. Okay, and then going upstairs. So here's our 2-story space, stairway coming up. We've got the elevator here. All of that's open. So from here or here or here, you can look down into that space. And then nonfiction here, fiction, and these will somewhat just blur together. Media here, and then teen space down here. Off of that, we've got a teen space that could be a maker space, activity space for teens. This is also a conference space, maker space, and then we've got a couple offices on this side. One of the things that we really wanted to do is to really open this building up through the center so that from Jefferson, you can really see into it, and you'll see when we get to the renderings, you're able to see the old Carnegie through the library, which I think was really cool. So you're still experiencing all sides of the building. Okay, any questions plan related?
The teen area seems smaller than the other one I saw. Is that right?
This
The
was,
existing one?
Wasn't the teen area over on the other side
Oh.
kind of a little larger?
we had multiple options, but they're all roughly the same. These are based on like the original program
Okay.
in terms of the breakdown
Right.
of the area.
Just trying to remember.
And I think Mo's been looking at that very carefully, and you're comfortable with the sizes.
Well, yeah, as far as percentage to thing to thing. I mean, it's not 50,000 square feet, but,
It's awesome to have one.
yeah,
Right.
but it's awesome to have a new library. Yeah.
Where's Mo's office?
Okay, she's going to be tucked in back in here.
Well, yeah, Linda and I are going to fight over, guess who's going to get the bigger one? Sorry, Linda.
I don't
you-
care. I just need a window. I hope to see what
Yeah, the one who gets the window.
people.
Okay,
So we
any
can walk
other-
by on the sidewalk and wave at you then, right?
oh, yeah, you could, definitely, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And do you want to explain a little bit about this back stairway and the?
Yeah,
down
okay,
the-
thank you,
too.
DA.
Okay.
Yeah, so as the second exit, we've got one exit here to the ground floor, and then this is the second exit which will come down, and this exits out on the back side of the building. And you'll see that in the rendering on the Jefferson
Is it
side.
an emergency exit then?
Right, emergency exit only.
Good.
Okay, so taking a look at the building, this is looking from John Adams and 7th here. And see the two-story addition in the back, similar to what we've talked about before. And I think, the goal has always been is, how can we best respect the Carnegie and really celebrate the Carnegie and not overwhelm the Carnegie, all of those kinds of things. So we're looking at an approach of extending that brick base on the lower floor, doing a very glassy second floor up there so that it helps bring the scale of the building down. So, the brick only goes up basically the same height as the existing building. The window widths are similar in size, so we're trying to pick up some patterning from there. Also, you'll notice this, this creates somewhat of a shape that then we're replicating here. So, as an implied opening where they've got windows here, we're doing the same thing here, but more in a modern way with using all glass there. So let's go ahead and go around. So looking at the plaza space, one thing that we're looking at is adding additional bike parking. And then also we will need to provide some covered bike parking. So we're thinking about that tucked in back into this area here. Let's go to the next shot. So book drop right up front. Our entrance from 6th. Our community porch, the steps, all the activity space out here. And then the new play area over here. And then you can see in terms of that we wanted to really create a very light touch to the existing building. So all glass in between, and then the brick, and you'll see this as it picks up inside. And it's also raised up so that you really get a full view of the back of the existing Carnegie, as well as getting views off to the west. And then looking at up from the corner of Jefferson and 7th. And you can start to see here, this is that on that second floor where it poked out, the idea of making like a big glass bay window up there. And then also glass down here on the lower floor. Now that's going to be higher because we're about 7 feet below grade at this point. But when you're standing on the sidewalk, you will be able to see through that. And again, making it very transparent. Okay. Going inside, so here is the two-story space. Here's those windows I was just talking about from the Jefferson side. The stairway, service point, and then this will, Mo has told us that we do have to put some stuff in here. Apparently, we can't just do a very open space. So. But just to give you an idea of, these are the brick walls coming through. We'll replicate those as we move up to the second floor. And let's go to the next one. So this is the entry off of 6th. There again, you can see the back side of the existing Carnegie. And this is where we've poked through that back wall to create those openings into the technology space and then into the reading room. And then that gives you an idea of the size of that space that goes down to the community room. So the community room's on this end down here. So again, very open. You can see the two-story space up above that would be open into it. And then in the children's space, the glass, and something I think would be is going to be awesome is to be able to look out and you still see the Carnegie from any of the sides from inside. And I guess we'll also get some children's furniture. We're not going to use the.
So there's no wall entering the children's room. Like
here.
Yeah.
Right. So the idea is that at this point, and as Mo was saying, I mean, this will develop as to exactly how much of a barrier, or if there needs to be a barrier for those, because we may want to create more of a control point to that.
Or acoustic.
Acoustics, just also, for kids, maintaining it more.
I'll start training my 5-year-old to
cat quiet.
use his inside voice.
Oh, come on, why start now? Come on.
Okay, so then going upstairs with the overlook, here's the stair coming up, and then you're looking out again, seeing the Carnegie, and then the views off to the west. One of the items that we're would like to include, and this will be something we'll probably include as an alternate to the project, is a skylight right over the center, which would be wonderful. I mean, you can see how you'd actually be able to see the trees, you know, from both the windows and then the skylight as well. But I think it's nice. It gives you a sense of the scale. It's a good sized space on that second floor.
Nice.
And then we'll run through the SketchUp, and if there's some questions, other things you'd like to see.
Do you want me to go through the SketchUp?
Yeah, why don't we do that? You definitely won't let me
See
touch
that
that.
Let's see.
Looks like Puerto
And
Rico.
here we are in Greece.
Great.
And we've got no input.
Always takes a second.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
So we just run through some of the scenes here, give you a little idea. Feeling for it, how it sits in the park. I think what's really cool is, you know, there's no back to this building. And I think, you know, it's very important that we address all the streets, and I think it does that by both the entries, but also on the Jefferson side being expressive of the Carnegie, you know, allowing that to come through both visually and then figuratively, and how we pop the building out.
I think we're going to go inside now. Do we want to go inside?
let's go. Let's go
Vertigo,
back.
vertigo.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm getting dizzy.
You can just go to the front and kind of up higher a little bit.
It's a little glitchy.
Oh, we did not issue Dramamine prior to doing
Should be a
this.
requirement.
So-
Well,
I'm
young
looking
people
at-
are used to that fast speed.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the top of the Carnegie, which is just kind of a gravel tar thing right now, right?
Yeah, so it's got some like mechanical stuff up there that we're gonna try to just clean all that up.
And make this look like this?
We're gonna just try to make it be very
Clean. Ugly.
probably paint it.
I would
One
think
idea.
Eileen, as an artist, would look at that and say, a palette.
Well,
A
I
palette."
am, but I,
Well, what
Not
would be
in this
cool is
life.
we're going to look at it from inside and see actually what you would be able to see on that roof from the second floor, to see if it, you know, how big a deal it really is. The biggest thing, I just didn't want to look out and look across a junky roof, you know, with
Right.
old stovepipe sticking up and that kind of thing. So we're going to be able
There's
to
a
clean all that
chimney
up.
up there.
What's
There's
that?
The
Little
chimney is up there.
yeah,
Yeah.
From the old wood stove or something,
Yeah,
probably.
Which is
yeah.
okay. But, you know.
Oh, yeah, the chimney looks great.
Yeah. So,
The
just
chimney is surrounded by a bunch of 2x4s and junk scaffolding holding the thing
Holding it
together.
Probably.
And
Maybe we can
it's
improve on
historical.
hysterically historical.
Hysterically, yes.
The brick on the new building, is that the new fascia materials or is it actual brick walls?
Well, it would be a brick veneer.
Brick veneer, that's what I mean.
Yeah, so
brick veneer,
we'll probably be a steel frame building
Yeah.
with brick veneer.
Veneer, yeah.
And that'll be something we'll come back to talk with you more about. You know, do we try to get exactly the same color? Do we make it different enough that it doesn't look like the existing building, you know, so that it's subtle? Do we want to put any detail in it that replicates the existing building? So that's about 2 steps from now, but
Yeah.
you
I
know, we
figured
wanna
that's
come
where
back
I was
and
going
talk
to be,
about
but I was
that.
just checking because
Yeah.
I know the expense of the other route.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be awesome to do a real masonry building. Huh? That EA could probably give us more on pricing on that. You were around when they did real masonry buildings, right?
Oh, yeah.
Stacked up. Right?
That's right.
is the community porch, is that transparent? Is that glass or
Well,
acrylic,
one of the
or-
things we're kicking around is the idea of putting a green roof on it,
Oh, okay.
Great.
which I think would be awesome, personally.
Yeah.
So
Nice. That's what I
we'll,
thought of.
you know, that'll again will be a step or two down the
Okay.
road, but
Okay.
you know, I think it'd be wonderful to look out of that second floor and actually
See
See
that.
plans.
have a
Oh, yeah.
nice little
Great.
surprise.
Nice.
to
And
look
maybe
down there.
occasionally we'll import some goats and put them up there and have them mow it.
Just like sedums and that kind of stuff.
That'd be a story.
Wouldn't that be
That's a
hysterical?
story.
Huh?
Just don't put the dumb goats up there.
I just
Right?
say
They'd
that.
fall off, yeah.
Sid, I see that the canopy isn't extended all the way to Sixth.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thinking about that? I know we talked about that initially,
Yeah.
about along.
Probably one of the biggest things is just, I think with the canopy going all the way across, there is, it really starts to separate the spray park and the play area. And one of the things that we heard a lot was people were like, I got kids at the play park, I got, that are on the swings, I got kids at the spray park. They want it contiguous. And so this was a solution of keeping that kind of feel. So that was the primary thought on it.
Okay.
I personally also think that it might kind of cut that visually a little bit too much. I mean, it's a nice idea to have covered walkway all the way up to the building, but I don't know, visually, I'm not sure I'd be crazy about it either.
We're going to get used to getting wet.
Yeah, we are used to getting
Will
wet.
there be a bench under the covered walkway for people waiting?
I would like to do that.
Okay, just something like if you're waiting for your ride.
Great idea.
Right. I think what'll be really cool is we'll have the seating that is around the spray park. So there's, seating there. I think the steps will be used for seating. I would be really surprised if it's not. And then we're going to have a small retaining wall back by the play area here that is also bench height. So a lot of opportunity for folks to have a place to sit.
I'm just thinking more for people who may not be there with their children, like elderly or older
Yeah.
folks who might be waiting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it'd be a wonderful idea to have some site furniture underneath here.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
We got enough room to do that, and
Yeah.
I think what a fantastic people watching spot,
Yeah.
Yes.
as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, questions, thoughts?
Looks good.
That's really good.
Well,
Looks great.
actually, just to stay on that for just a minute more, from a scale point of view, how wide is the entry canopy area, roughly, do you think?
I don't
Is-
know.
is that 10 or
I think it's
12
about
feet?
12 feet.
About 12 feet?
12 feet.
Okay.
Great, okay.
Yeah.
So it's pretty wide.
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
it's-
that's
it's-
good and wide, yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh, 14, 11 and a
14,
half.
almost 15.
Yeah, let me get my tape out. There you go. Tape on it.
Right there.
Let's measure it.
So it's a nice wide space, and there is room to do that. I think that adds a more human scale to it. We get some
Yes.
furniture in there. So I love the bench idea under there. I think that'd be really nice. And I'd love it if we could do it again, like a green roof on top of that. I think that would be fantastic.
So we met with, McLaughlin Neighborhood Association last Thursday, is that when it was? And we basically presented all of this except for the layout part. We didn't have that prepared at that point in time. And some of the questions they had or comments they had were, well, what is the material going to be for like the playground? The ground covering. What's that material? Because some people had some ideas, which is great. Could the book drop look less modern and more historic? Which probably I started looking at
Oh, I like the
catalogs.
book drop.
Huh?
I love that book drop.
Like that one right
Yeah.
there? Really?
Yeah.
So, that was just something that came up. Well, you didn't get the building you wanted, so maybe you could get the
Yeah,
book drop
I like
you
it
want,
too.
right, Laura? Anyway, so I'm trying to remember what else.
Nothing
I
says
should've brought my
library like a
comments.
cool book drop.
Yeah.
I like how modern it is. I think it works.
But it was pretty favorably received. A lot of people had questions and comments, but
I was thinking that there was thoughts about having a more innovative play space.
Well-
Is this a response to not thinking further about that, and that's why we're looking at what's basically already there, or is
There was very strong opinions about replicating the swing and the slide. Would you?
I would say so, yeah. Now, the direction that we got from PrAC, or the recommendation, was that they were fine with all of this as long as we kept the same equivalent of playability or
Activities.
exceeded that. And so what we kind of interpret that is like you will provide a swing and a slide. And then if you want to go above and beyond that, that's fine if it fits. But of course, we'd have to go back and talk with them about that too. It's in the park, so.
yeah. I know that I think it would be interesting to survey a larger audience, because I know that there are not fans of that slide.
We will not have the same slide.
Okay, but
apparently.
Will not be the
even,
same
even,
slide.
even
Just a
the-
slide.
I mean, just
Oh,
the
slide.
height and
Yeah.
I mean, I think that there are so many creative ways to go.
That's why there's not.
I mean, if you were thinking about playground, I mean, you could go for the more naturescape kind of playground. So, I mean, there's a lot of ways you could go. This was a direct response to
What we've heard. Yeah.
which is I think the primary comments coming from the neighborhood would.
Yeah,
you say
but
that's
Prac was
fair?
pretty much supporting
Yeah, they were.
that in the way of like the swing and the slide should
Yeah.
at least be there. But, if we do more and we can fit more. But they're not saying that the exact slide should be there.
It doesn't have to look exactly.
No, not
Yeah.
at all. Yeah, because I think the height is no longer code.
No.
The height
We
of
could
that
not, we
slide.
thought we could not reuse the slide.
Well, and if you watch children play on it, they use it, yes, as a traditional slide, but they try to play on lots of different ways that it hasn't been designed
Yes.
to play with, so.
There's lots of
Creative
neat things
use.
out there, and I know that the Parks Department would be happy to work with us as well. But we would definitely need to work with those groups in order to add, and that would
Yeah.
be fine, but we'd need to do that.
Can I ask you about the windows on the upper side there?
Yeah.
Just looking at this, it looks like they open.
We're going to our intent is to have operable windows.
Okay. Good old fresh air. All right.
Nothing like
And like
it.
a little fresh air.
Yeah.
Could we look at the Jefferson side a little bit?
Certainly.
Okay, close your eyes
Everybody
for a sec.
close your eyes.
Oh,
Oh, this is good.
that looks nice.
Take her down, maybe more kind of ground level.
Okay, there is another door. Is that the emergency door that you were talking about?
That one is the service
Service
door.
door.
That's service door.
Service door on that side.
So that comes in behind the bathrooms and behind the community room
Yeah.
on that side of the building. And
that's
so,
very nice.
like, for instance, if we wanted to cater something, they could park on the street and we could bring food in the back. We could do some deliveries in the back that way if we wanted to. So that's what that door
Is
is.
that where your book person would come? The van?
Probably they'll just come through the front,
Okay.
yeah.
So that can be an after-hours access?
No, after hours would be around on the
It's
other
only on the
side.
front.
But it would be
Okay.
like staff could let,
Yeah.
I think
we
this
could
is
have like a bell back there
I
or
think this is
whatever.
going to be really pretty at nighttime.
Yeah, I think it will be too.
Yeah, it's going to
It looks like a
have
lantern.
a lantern
to me.
kind of
Yeah, it
effect.
looks like a lantern
Exactly.
in the back. It's really
Yeah.
pretty.
Yeah.
It is very pretty.
It's kind of it's an idea of, we're creating some solid areas inside the library, which is really useful, but a lot of glass areas. So instead of having, the glass being spread out, bunching it together, which you end up getting a lot more punch out of that. And I think it'll be really dramatic.
Could we look just at we got my directions here, the southeast corner again from that aspect?
Southeast.
Like right in here.
Yeah.
Southeast
Yeah.
corner.
Okay. I see.
There's the trash enclosure with a green roof.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and the transformer.
Transformer.
Lovely.
That's a good place for it out there. Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder if we could do a green roof on that transformer. Do you think they would object to let ivy just grow right over the top of it?
We could do
It will
that.
eventually. Anyway.
It will, yeah, for sure. And then it'll take over the library.
Blackberries.
Yeah.
That would be
Before you
more
know it.
natural. And nobody would get in there, so.
Huh? There you go.
And then the other corner, the opposite corner up there.
All right, close your eyes for a sec.
Oh no, that's good.
Okay, so we're not really seeing the exit door there.
Yeah, I apologize. We didn't get the exit door on there. But see, we won't have to go all the way down to exit out, so it'll be only part way down from the second floor.
It looks like you're not going to have to excavate as much as you thought, right?
No, it's pretty good, actually. This was one of the options that, a little less excavation on it, so we're anticipating we're not going to be as deep into basalt. Yeah, this one the building is actually narrower than longer than some of them we looked at. And what's been nice about that, it gives us more room on Jefferson, which I think helps us get that feeling of the park going all the way around the
Right.
library. So, get some neat things in there. And it gets us a little further out of the basalt.
Looks nice from this end too.
It does. It really does.
Then the little tuck-in place just past the person in the green. Yeah.
The glass area.
No, going.
Down low.
Down
Oh, let's
front
see. What
walk.
direction is that? Going west. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Keep going. There you go. In there.
There, so that's a great view. You can see the entry from the 7th Street side.
Cool.
So that'll probably have a couple stairs. Uh-huh,
But
okay.
the porch doesn't come out across that
Right. So the porch is on the
other side.
other side.
Other side, yeah.
So that's one of the other reasons that we ended up putting the meeting room on the other side, is because the evening handicap access on this side is
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
difficult.
Okay.
And it's so far away from the parking.
Right.
Yeah, the grades are a lot
Yeah.
tougher on that side.
Yeah.
You know, the other thing too, that is the children's area, and when you do the canopy over it, that will block some of the light that comes in there. I mean, it's good in one way, is that it's going to help with sun shading. But on the other hand, it also will block light, just like any kind of a large porch or overhang would.
The overhang, speaking of sunlight, looks like it's been sort of kind of designed so that during high light times it shades and low light
Right.
times it lets it in. Is that
Right, that's correct.
Excellent.
So we're working on, checking sun angles, how much will we really block, because, we got a lot of glass, and
do have a lot
we
of
want to
glass.
make sure that we're maximizing the passive design part that we can. So less conditioning, less energy spent, and use the building to help condition the space.
Looks nice.
I like how the first level comes all the way across, then meeting the, what's that called, pediment or whatever?
For the existing building? or-
Yeah,
Yeah.
where the sidewalk is that goes in. It's at the same level. Yeah, I think, you can't have an overabundance of glass. In a building that's also filled with electronics, and glare is really something that you have to think about a lot. So, I mean, while you want light, you don't want too much light. And so it's definitely a balance that has to be sought. And then Joan was also saying that the top part was designed so that it could block as much of the stuff on the roof as possible, if
Right.
there's anything up there.
Because we're going to end up with penthouse on the roof for mechanical equipment, and we don't want to see any of that. So the idea of the cap piece is to shield that, so you won't see any of it up there. And that also helps with the scale. It just keeps the building feeling, I think, lower. And
Yeah.
because it's actually a fairly tall building in relationship to the existing, but it doesn't look like it. With having that, just having a second floor to it.
That looks good.
Yeah, it looks very, very good.
Thank you.
We just build it.
Yeah, could
Okay.
you?
Go right ahead.
Could you?
I'm
So,
gonna get going.
Thank you very much.
do we want to address any questions that you might have had about the transportation study, or let you know what we've been hearing about transportation study and that
Well,
kind of thing?
I'll just jump in here. I read it, and my conclusion was that we're going to be okay. It went through a lot of stuff, but then it came to a little point at the end that says we're within the limits of what can possibly happen in an A to F situation at this thing with the platooning and the saluting and all of that. It's going to be like with a plus or minus 5, which is, that's what we want. So as I understood it, we're within in the ballpark on parking. I did notice there was a lot of concerns about the upper parking thing. It's usability, I think is the word.
Yeah, which is why we feel it's best to be used strictly for staff.
Okay.
Because it's an awkward space getting in and out of, I think that it would end up causing us a lot of heartache if we had the public using it. And because they also, when staff uses it, they're kind of mostly there. They park and then they just, come and go once a day. But the public would be constantly moving in there, and it's a very awkward, tight space.
Yeah, I looked at it today.
Yeah.
It was-
And so the idea with parking being that the attempt is to open up as many street spaces as possible, so that if you follow that theory, then getting staff into that parking lot, then that opens up more street spaces. And if we stripe and, have handicap and 15-minute and put the book drop close, and we think that will mitigate some of the other, factors. So this consultant felt that we were in pretty good shape.
That's my conclusion.
Maybe not everybody will agree with that consultant, but this is the consultant we have, and this is the report that we'll present, and we'll take it from there.
Good.
Now, is McLaughlin neighborhood group going to continue to grouse about this, or are they more or less?
I think they'll continue to have some questions about it, yeah.
Okay.
Because this is one project, and that report might be great for that project, but they still see the problem as more of a whole area, and in fact, like the whole city kind of thing, if you look at like downtown and where they are and stuff like that. So they're looking at the more holistic impact. And you know, we had a meeting with Denise McGriff and Jesse Buss and went through a lot of their questions that they had, and a lot of them were answered, but I'm not sure they're, you know, 100% in agreement with it. You know, I still think they perceive that there's not quite enough parking and that the transportation impact is a little bit bigger than what the consultant said. So, you know, we'll do everything we can to, you know, help with that. I mean, we want it to work in the neighborhood, obviously. We want to work with the neighborhood. We want to be good neighbors.
One thing I didn't see in that was the impact of the Singer Hill restaurant on parking in the area.
Well, because, yeah, the job of the study was not really to look at every single, you know, what they do is they take the existing, how things are now.
Yeah.
And, you know, that kind of comes and goes, but that's already kind of factored into everything.
Well, I did notice that the parking lot behind the old fire station, there's a certain number of spaces that's supposed to be there for us, right?
Well, that is
Used to be, anyhow.
This is interesting. That's
Okay.
a city-owned lot,
Yes,
which is leased to the fire station.
yes.
But there's always been an understanding that they don't need all of the spaces.
Yeah.
So we are working to document and memorialize that, because if we use those spaces, they need to be signed accordingly.
Well, they used to be.
Well, there used to be like 2 spaces
Yeah.
signed. Well, I want more than 2.
Well, I don't.
But you know, so we just need to get that formal.
I'm old. I remember when I had 2 spaces.
Yeah.
We had 2 spaces with a sign.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that we can go ahead with the assumption that we'll be able to use some of those spaces still. But there is an interesting arrangement with the fire district on those. Yeah.
And then the restaurant has some of those too? Is that part
No,
of it?
no.
But that's where everybody parks for the restaurant?
Well, it's public parking lot.
Oh, public parking lot.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It is.
I think that's something that we did talk about from a parking standpoint, is partly it's education, like where can you park? You know, the lot that's behind the church that is city-owned, I think, you know, it seemed like most people did not know that that is actually public parking.
The lot behind the churches?
I didn't realize
I did
it.
not
Didn't you know that?
I did not know that. I assumed
Yeah.
it was the churches.
Right.
Yeah, no.
And then the other part is as we started to count spaces, you know, like if you go out and just look, you can't, the way that people park on the streets, you can't get nearly as many cars as if we stripe it.
Right.
Yeah.
And people park in a parking spot.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I think there's a lot of things you can do just to enhance what you have now, you know, in terms of the parking. And part of it's just the education. And you did this when we first started the project. We were talking about parking, and that kept coming up. It was like, I wonder if people realize that they can park here, you can park here. You know, there's you know,
Well,
options.
there's a lot of actual parking there. We really look at it.
Yeah, so we'll be working on, you know, educating people as we go along as well. I mean, that's our job to do that. So, you know, we'll just keep working on this topic as much as possible.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the presentation from the architects, and what I would like to get from you guys is a recommendation for the city commission to approve moving forward into design development and the public review process.
So,
I need a
We
motion.
need a motion.
Yeah.
So I'll make a motion to that extent, that the library board recommend that to the city commission that they approve moving from schematic design into design development, and approve moving into the public review process.
Second.
Second. Okay. Is there any other further discussion? Question? All's in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's exciting.
Thank you. It's
Thank you,
exciting.
guys. Yay.
really exciting.
Let me see. Okay. Do I need to be here?
Now we go back to boring stuff.
Yeah, that was too much fun, yes. Okay, director's report.
Okay, so, thanks Renee. So our checkouts have been doing okay. You know, a few months in a row, they were like at 94% of and last month they were like at 106, and now this month they're at like 99.2 after you count in the increase of library to go over last year.
Good.
And so that was great. Now door count is at 94%. I don't really know why that is, but you know, it's kind of hard to tell from one year to the next because I don't take such good notes about the previous year that I, you know. So anyway, and then we made just a little bit more money potentially in our half off for the holidays, which we do from Thanksgiving. You like that time of year, don't you, Laura?
And then you guys did it again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the way from Thanksgiving to New Year's. And it's a time when people can take advantage of getting half price for their fines. And
Your staff did a great job of letting people know about it too,
Excellent.
which was really, really nice.
well, people start asking
Yeah.
way in advance. So, and then the other thing to let you know is that as a consortium, we have agreed to do a food for fines during American or Library Week.
Oh.
And that'll be in April. And we'll do it countywide, which will be like one of the first things we've ever done countywide. So that'll be kind of interesting. And we had some more programs, a few more attendees. Our first Friday film, What Would Jesus Do? My goodness, we had great attendance. It was like our biggest attendance to date. And it spurred a lot of conversation. People really had a good time at that, didn't they?
Yes, they
Jan
did, yeah.
came, yeah.
Yeah.
It was really
I came with a group, and then we went out afterwards and continued the discussion.
Yeah.
So we had quite
It's
very
just-
provocative, yeah.
Yeah, just what I would like to do. Oh, and that Reverend Billy, you should go look him up on Facebook. This is the character who was at the core of What Would Jesus Do. He has this movement, the Church of the Stop Shopping, and yeah, he uses the apocalypse word with shopocalypse. That's what it is, and he just wants to focus on the spiritual aspects of anything, not necessarily Christianity, but get away from consumerism in general. And so now he's all wrapped up in the free speech and intellectual freedom that, you know, from the French murders and just, you know, all kinds of things. So he's in jail like all the time. He's a very provocative character, really. And then we had our regular seasonal harpist, Joanna Pearson, who came. She's a big favorite. Yeah, people really love her. And her sister was here to play a song. Her married sister came home for a little while. And then this week, we have the Stafford Poetry Evening tomorrow night, and then next week we have Mindful Meditation, which I have heard is very good.
Who is doing that?
He's an East Indian. His
Okay.
name is, yeah.
And what time is that?
That's at 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's at 6:30.
Oh, it's at
6:30?
6:30 because it's longer, okay.
Okay.
And then follow up with author Steve Anderson, who came and I met through Matt Love when Matt Love was here. So any questions about statistics? I color coded them because I did that for some commission thing, and I thought, you know
works.
what, that makes
That's
it so
nice.
much easier to
Easier
read
to
these
do,
things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mo, I've got a question here about public internet computer sessions being down. Is that, I wonder if there's a trend now towards not needing to go to a library terminal versus using their wireless handheld devices.
Could be.
And that, the architects have left, but it may be something we want to keep in mind about the technology room, is that maybe we don't
Yeah.
need quite so much.
Well, the technology room, you know, is the current reference room, and
Yeah.
so it's really not any more space in some respects than we currently dedicate to it. It's just that we would, you know, I don't think we're going to have a ton more hardwired internets. what I'd like to be sure is that we have lots of capacity for those handheld, power for the handheld
Right.
devices, yeah.
It may be that that's all we need to do.
Mhm.
It's an
Oh, I don't
interesting,
think
it's an
that's-
interesting
no,
trend.
In Oregon City, I don't think that's all we need to do.
Okay.
Because people don't have devices to
Yeah.
Right.
bring in.
But this is, you're right, DA, this is an important thing to watch,
Mhm.
because it could signal
I think we're,
trends.
yeah, it may be a trend that we're actually trending away from
Yeah.
the hardwired stuff.
Which would be okay with me.
Yeah,
They take up a lot of space.
Yeah,
okay.
they do. Mhm.
So that's
Okay,
all I have for you on my report.
okay. Communications?
You don't have any? No, there aren't any.
Can I have something though.
Yes?
So I don't know if you noticed in the last ALA publication for December, Oregon City got acknowledgement for
Yeah.
passing the bond and moving ahead. I'm surprised you didn't share it out, so.
I put it somewhere.
Well, you-
I think I sent it to the commission or something. I can't
Okay.
remember. I saw it and I was like shocked.
Yeah.
It was, yeah.
My
I'll-
library assistant Heidi said, yeah, you guys got it. Yeah. And I
Yeah.
said, oh, and I'm like, oh, Mo will have it for us and share it, so.
I'll send it to you
So,
guys.
I'm not saying it's exciting.
It is. Well, there was a blurb about, an article about all the legislative activity throughout the country and kind of the trends of what's working and what's not working. And then they picked up one election from each state. And ours was the election they picked up from Oregon, which was awesome because there were a
Right.
lot of other elections.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Neat.
it was great. I'll send that to you guys.
Okay, good.
Could you send it to me?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Kara?
Do you want these back?
You guys need to share them. I don't read them. Yeah, just pass them around. They're for trustees, not for library directors. Here's a-
Okay.
Evening read. Anything else?
That's it.
Future agenda items, anything for the good of the order? Old term. Okay, meeting's adjourned, 5:59.
Excellent.